Hello, my nomies. Really? Let me see if this guy's finished with his car. He's revving his Mustang. Trying to rub it in. Yeah. Maybe we'll just wait a few minutes. Yeah. Hello, my nomies, and welcome back to the MT and me. Well, after our little excursion with the Wiggins Festival last week, we're back this week to work on pearls some more. And instead of being inside, we've got nice weather, so we're going to do one of those side projects. And it's something that's been kind of scary in a way, which is appropriate because, gee, we're almost to Halloween. Now, I figured I can't really work with a Halloween mask on, so I got out this shirt. And although it's not really a mask, it's kind of my Halloween mask on the shirt, as you can see. So for today, this is about as close as I'm going to get to dressing out for the spooky holiday. But I got to tell you, Halloween is my favorite holiday. So I hope you have a real spooky and happy one and get lots of goodies. That's the best thing about Halloween, getting to dress up and be something you're not, and people giving you lots of goodies for doing it. It's a win-win, right? So anyway, happy Halloween, people. Now, as for something scary, get ready because you remember this. Oh, yeah. The dreaded little piece of dipstick tube stuck in the hole on the engine block. It has been really more frustrating than it has been scary. But quite frankly, over the past couple of months, the thought of going back to it and working on it again has been kind of scary because up until now, I feel like I've tried just about everything I can think of to get this out. And nothing has worked so far. Now, to briefly recap what happened, just in case you don't remember or you weren't watching back then, I was going to pull out Pearl's dipstick, which is a very long dipstick. Goes on forever, but that's beside the point. I was going to pull it out, and we were going to change the oil in Pearl. I'm ready. I've got the oil, I got the filter, I was just all set to go. Trouble was, when I pulled the dipstick out, it didn't come out of the tube. The tube came with the dipstick. The end of it broke off in the engine block, and it's still there. Now, I have a brand new dipstick tube here. This little part right here on the very end that you can see is what broke off. So I'm really figuring there's not much more than an inch, maybe an inch and a half that's actually stuck down there inside the engine block. But I can't get it out. All we can do is just see that rim where it broke off. If I can get it out, we'll put in the new dipstick tube. I'm not going to use this dipstick because it's too short. As you can see, the dipstick that goes in Pearl is seriously, it's about 1.5 feet longer, or at least, 13, 14, 15 inches longer than the one that came with this tube. But the point is, the tube will work fine. It's almost a perfect match for the one that came out. If we can get that little bitty piece out of the engine block. So that's going to be the focus today, to try that again. Now so far, gee, we've tried putting bolts in there and tried to pull it out. We have used the backward screw removers to try and twist it and turn it out. We've tried to ping around it and pry around it and loosen it up and pull it out, and none of that has worked. I think today we're going to take just a good old drill bit that is just about the same size, maybe just slightly smaller, and see if we can't put it in there and get it to maybe rock that piece and rock it loose. If we can ever loosen it up, I think it'll come on out. Of course, I've thought that before and it hasn't worked. So that's the plan for today anyway. I have this brand new assortment of drill bits, and I'm hoping that one of them is going to be just the right size to do what I want it to do and fit down in that tube just enough to snag it and hopefully move it. I guess now's the time to find out. So I'm going to start out just visually looking at the bits. This one is a 5/16. It looks like it might work. And I actually think it's the size that I need. Okay, now the other trick is going to be trying to get the drill down there and get this thing in that hole. Let's see if that's going to work. Here again, the really fun part is getting to it and working around the camera so that you can see what's going on, and I can still see what's going on too. I think this is about as good as it gets, so let's try it. Oh, that's not working. I don't have enough torque. Let's try setting that up a little bit. Whoa! Okay, it's a two-handed job. Oh my goodness, look. I think we might have been successful. Look at that, look at that. It's out, it came out. Oh, I'm so happy I dropped it. But it came out, oh. I really didn't expect it to come out that quickly and that easily. Oh, but it did. This idea worked. And you know, Ree suggested this. There's one for you again, girl. Thank you. Let me see if I can find that piece. Okay, here it is. Took me a second, but I found it. I want you to look at, I mean, this really messed it up, you know, twisting it around. But we've been beating on it and prying at this thing so much, it was in pretty bad shape anyway. But here again, you see, we're only dealing with less than an inch of this tubing. And that's been the stubborn part right there. Where'd my new thing go? Here we are. And you can see right here, a little bit of glare there, but right here, that's that same part. And yeah, it's just the same size. So this ought to work just fine. What we're going to do right now Let's take it out of the package and find out. That was difficult enough, but here we are. Once again, I don't need that. Boy, that's short. That wouldn't go anywhere in Pearl. We explained before, the reason is in Pearl's engine, this Dodge engine, which they put in their 300 series vans and also a lot of Dodge trucks in the late 70s and early 80s. Anyway, the oil pan has the deep part in the back of the engine. Commonly in cars, because of the way the engine sits on the frame, that deep part is in front of the cross frame that the wheels mount to and everything that the steering system mounts to. But in vans and trucks, it goes behind it. And because of that, the dipstick, which goes in the very front of the engine, the front corner, as you can see here, has to go all the way back to the back to give you an accurate reading of the oil. So that's why we have a dipstick that's over 1 meter long in Pearl. But we only need about 24 inches of tubing to guide it to where it needs to go on the outside. So it's time to see if this is going to fit down in that hole on the engine block, or if we still have to do something to this. Okay, let's see what we have here. Oh yeah, the little, oh yeah, without even persuasion at all, that is going to slide right down in there. We'll put a little lube on it, and we'll figure out exactly where this hook needs to go to secure it. The interesting thing here is I'm going to have to get some things put back on here. Like, for instance, I need the alternator back on, and probably need at least one of the accessory belts back on here so that I can see exactly how this is going to need to be positioned. The other one, according to my memory, that little thing's interfering with it, was something like that. This was turned a little bit more this way, coming forward. And right now, that little metal mounting frame, which I can loosen up and move around with no problem, is interfering a little bit. So, the next step is figuring out exactly what position to put this in. We can take care of that. Oh, I'll be glad to take care of that. I once again find myself almost short of words. Really got that thing out of there. It came out a lot easier and more quickly than I expected it to. Not that I'm complaining by any means. No. Russ is very, very happy right now. So happy that I'm actually struggling to express myself here, which is something I don't often have a problem doing. But wow, it's out. And we can actually proceed with plans to put this in. That means we can put the dipstick back in whenever the time comes. But moreover, it just means we can put all this stuff back together and change the oil and proceed with the refurbishment of Pearl's engine. Things like getting the oil changed, getting everything back on her so that we can turn her over and see if she's going to run. I say that, and I am confident that she is going to run. I figured, there's going to be some more minor problems. She's been sitting around too long for there not to be. But this is a big step right here. And this is This is a really, really big morale booster for me. And I hope it is for you too. All right? Yeah. All right. I'll sit down and figure out what to do next now. So, this is the little booger that held me up for so long. And here it is, in my hand instead of in the engine. That's a good thing. Now, as I said, there's a few things we got to figure out before we put this new dipstick tube in. And they all relate to the exact positioning of this. The way it's going to fit, I had been kind of concerned that if it was a very snug fit in the block, that I might have to put it in place and leave it there. But apparently it's going to be snug, but yet loose enough that it can shift around so that I will be able to fine-tune it and adjust it even once it's put in. So that much is good. I do have to figure out exactly where this mounting piece is going to go. And I'm going to have to loosen it up to move it. I hope it's not. I think it's just, well, it may be soldered on there the way it looks. So I may have to twist it around, take it off, and move it. But we'll see about that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's probably going to have to fasten some way or another to the alternator mount. And quite frankly, I'm going to have to put the alternator back in to see where that mount is and just kind of figure it out as we go, because I don't exactly, I mean, I remember how the alternator was mounted, but I don't remember all the particulars of it. But that is something that we can quite easily put back in place, and even if we don't permanently reinstall it, we can put it in place to see how this part is going to have to match up with it and put everything back together. The main thing is going to be getting this in place so that we have that little bitty hole in the engine block plugged, so that we can go ahead and change our oil in Pearl. And that's something that we've been ready to do. Remember, that was what started this whole fiasco, as I went to change the oil and pulled out the dipstick and the whole darn tube came out. So that whole little project has just been on hold for, 3 months now? 4 months? It's been a while, because I got involved in side projects and doing other things. But I've still got the oil, still got the filter, and we are ready to actually get something done now and get Pearl's oil changed so that we're not afraid to turn the motor over and kind of just be sure everything is working as it should be. Okay? And before long, like I said, we've got the new fan belts, the new accessory belts. We can get those back installed, back in place. And from then, it's going to be getting the fan itself back on, getting the radiator and cooling system back on, putting those new hoses in, changing out the thermostat, because we have to do that. Then we still need to get our air cleaner business straightened out, because I haven't been able to find one of those little funky clips that goes in the carburetor that we have. So it's a question of either coming up with some way to hold this air cleaner in place on that carburetor, or finding a different carburetor with an actual center mount post on it. So there's that to be done. Once we do that, we figure out a fuel delivery system, and we start firing her up. Of course, we can actually crank the engine before then, just with some temporary fuel delivery, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I want to hear this 360 purr. I just want to hear it running. It's going to be music to my ears. And now that I can put this on there, I feel like we can actually do something about that. So, this has been a short but very sweet excursion today, and thanks again to Ree for suggesting, why don't you try that drill bit again, because we tried something similar, I didn't really have this size drill bit before. And so I had used this. This is one of those little reamers, and we thought maybe if we got it in there, we could ream that thing, but it didn't work. All it did was just tear up the aluminum. It would not grab it and move it. But when we got this bit in place, just right, and in just the right position and angle, and it didn't take much. Had to have the torque and a slow speed, but it grabbed that little piece of aluminum and twisted it right out, which is what I was always hoping we could do. That's exactly what happened. Thanks for the idea, Ree. It worked, and we are back to making progress on Pearl's engine. Yay! So, my nomies, since we've had success, we're going to stop right here. Want to thank each and every one of you for being part of the plan and part of my victory today. I'm so glad I got to share that with you, all right? If you have not subscribed, please do so. You can do that below. Just one little click's all it takes, you know. And by all means, give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. It lets YouTube know that more people should be watching. And that's a good thing, at least from my point of view. Join us each and every week right here as we continue working on Pearl here on the MT and Me. All right. I love you, my nomies, each and every one of you. Thanks again for being part of this plan. Oh, and by the way, Happy Halloween.